Good evening, I am Leery Thomas. Welcome to the Galactic Times Earth Report. We have a very special report for you tonight. We are sure that many of our viewers want us to explain more about the remote viewing phenomenon that is the focus of our reports. What is it and how does it work? Today, our intrepid reporter, RT, brings us into the consciousness of a remote viewer so that we can see exactly what is going on when the viewer is perceiving a fully functional operational base on Mars. Trudy Spheron explains more. Trudy?
Thanks, Leery. In a very recent pioneering study done at the Farsight Institute, remote viewers described in detail a base on Mars that was initially discovered due to an anomalous spray and pipeline leading to a buried dome and a second nearby buried dome that was photographed by a NASA space probe. But what no one involved in the remote viewing study knew at the time, our reporter, RT, entered the minds of the remote viewers while they were doing their work in order to produce a full report of their perceptions. We can now show these perceptions to you, our viewers, as if you were a fly on the wall in the viewers' minds as they were remote viewing. As with all of RT's reports, wherever he is in time, we show his reports here previously unopened, thereby keeping this a truly live broadcast. And now, on to RT's report.
This is RT, reporting for the Galactic Times Earth Report. I am currently in a Galactic Federation ship in Earth orbit at a console that allows me direct access into the mind of a remote viewer. The remote viewer is sitting at a table with a stack of blank paper and a pen while performing the mental techniques used to tune in to the target, which is the Martian base. The viewer does not currently know anything at all about the target, or even that the target relates to Mars. The viewer only knows that there is a target of some kind that is to be described. Let us now enter the mind of the remote viewer to directly see what the viewer sees. This is a very high-resolution image. The remote viewer is not perceiving it at this resolution. I will explain more about that later, but notice the spray, the nozzle, the pipeline, the remote viewer found it, is describing it, and also a dome. I am going to digitally project upwards what the remote viewer is perceiving inside this earthen dome. Let us replay this entire scene at a resolution that more closely approximates what the viewer is actually seeing. You see the spray, you see the nozzle, but it's foggier, fuzzier, much lower resolution image. The remote viewer is detecting that there is something in this dome. The remote viewer moves into the dome in order to perceive what is actually inside the dome. The remote viewer now determines that there is a tunnel inside the dome. It's clearly artificial. The tunnel has technology within it. It's obviously an ancient tunnel, the remote viewer describes this. It opens into a laboratory. It looks like a medical facility of some sort. There are obviously humanoids within the facility that the remote viewer is describing. The remote viewer looks around, makes perceptions of the nature of the facility, then withdraws the consciousness from the facility outside, detects that there is another dome, another earthen dome that is covering another facility. The remote viewer sees this earthen dome, moves towards it. Let me digitally project upwards what this earthen dome actually is containing within it. Let me show you a basic outline of what the remote viewer is trying to decode or figure out. So there is a facility that is covered with an earthen covering. Now, moving into the facility, the remote viewer is detecting that there is a huge energy generating level of technology. There is a gimbal type of structure in this facility, and there's this enormous energy. The remote viewer is trying to perceive what this energy is being used for, what the technology is being used for. Now, withdrawing the consciousness from the facility, the remote viewer then has an external view and notes that the energy generating capacity within the facility is causing an enormous level of energy to be projected from the surface of the dome upwards, often looking like an aurora with possible lightning.
Oh, frack. Leery, you didn't tell me that they got those old machines working again. What if Earth humans figure out what they are being used for?
I had no idea that the remote viewing data were so complete. Looks like the base is back in full operation. Well, so much for keeping secrets from the humans. Let's move on to commentary from Grey Dude and Reptil.i.am. What about you, Reptil.i.am? What are your thoughts about the human remote viewing capabilities?
Impressive, I have to admit. Very impressive. But Leery, this proves my point that I have often made. There are 6 billion humans on Earth. The evidence of remote viewing and even reports of activities on Mars, however impressive, are right in front of their eyes, and only a few hundred humans are even watching. They are endlessly skeptical despite the rigor of the studies. The point is that the vast majority of humans are not ready for this. Remote viewing is simply not an important factor in human affairs, and it is not going to change anytime soon.
Grey Dude, Reptil.i.am is raising a good point. What good is remote viewing if nearly all humans are ignoring it?
Leery, when beings, especially human beings, come into physical form, they tend to lose themselves, fall from grace, so to speak. They become emotionally attached to their physical bodies and forget who they really are, and even why they chose to experience physical reality in the first place. In essence, they become trapped in their own illusions. The reason the demonstration of remote viewing is important is because it allows humans the ability to reconnect with themselves, to rediscover who they really are. This is the only way they can encounter the approaching event without fear. Fear that could lead to a traumatic experience that might destabilize them profoundly. They need to know that remote viewing is a real phenomenon to psychologically enable themselves to understand the true meaning of the upcoming event.
But Leery, again, how can humans benefit from something that they are ignoring? The idea that they can gain spiritual understanding from this is just nonsense. We have to be practical. The real future for humans is pandemonium and chaos, unless we intervene forcefully to manage their affairs.
Grey Dude, what are we waiting for? Why not intervene now?
It would destroy their free will, and they might never fully recover. There is still time, even if it is short. The remote viewers are now trained, organized, and ready to do their part. We know that there are some important leaders in the human scientific community who are fully aware of what can be done with remote viewing. We are waiting for a small group of such scientists to make an announcement that remote viewing is real and deserves serious study. Pressure is on these scientists because they also know about the rapidly approaching event. Once such an announcement happens, the remote viewers themselves will finally be placed front and center in the public eye. They will quickly conduct high-quality public demonstrations of remote viewing that will immediately capture planetary attention like never before, and that will change the psychological nature of how humanity encounters the event.
Leery, I'm sorry, but I see no evidence of this. For example, the mainstream human scientific community gets all wrapped up in accusatory shouting matches when one of their members simply suggests that there may be an extraterrestrial bacteria fossil in a meteorite, despite the fact that we are flying our ships right under their noses. Given this kind of resistance, how can we expect mainstream scientists to recognize remote viewing with all that this would imply?
There is a small group of mainstream human scientists who are thinking about this. We are watching them, but we live in a free will universe and we cannot force them to act. They must be brave enough to act on their own to initiate the chain of events.
And if the small group of prominent human scientists do not step forward, what then?
Then all would be lost. The remote viewers would not have their chance to do their big demonstration, and humanity would encounter the event without any psychological preparation. Many could experience a very long and dark age. But let us not lose hope. The scientists in question know what they should do. We shall see how brave they really are.
And we will have to leave it there until next time, as we hope for the best, I suppose. For those of you wanting to follow the recent developments in the science of remote viewing along with us, you can do so at www.farsight.org. In our next report, RT will be going into the future to the year 2012. From all of us here at the Galactic Times Earth Report, we will see you then.